base text for the purposes of amendment. Now recognize myself for a statement. Earlier this week, I was joined by Ranking Member Graves, Subcommittee Chairwoman Napolitano, Subcommittee Ranking Member Rouser, in introducing H.R. 7776, Water Resource Development Act of 2022. This bill, when successfully enacted, after we overcome the extraordinary obstacle of the United States Senate, will mark the 5th consecutive bipartisan biennial Water Resources Development Act passed since Chairman Bill Schuster reinvigorated the process in 2014. We want to continue that. This is critical, and WRDA is now regular order of this committee and has been passed in a bipartisan manner. This will be the 12th Water Resources Bill enacted since I came to Congress, joined the committee in '87. For much of that time, I spent a lot of time trying to unlock the Harbor Maintenance Trust Fund. Started with Chairman Bud Schuster in 1996, and in WRDA 2020, we were finally successful. And it couldn't happen at a better time, as the pandemic showed the inadequacy of our ports and the backup and problems during the pandemic and post-pandemic. This bill was developed in a bipartisan manner with input and ideas from both sides. Projects and policy provisions included reflect not only from members of the committee, but from the entire House of Representatives. We had a request for projects to all members of the House. WRDA 2022 authorizes the construction of 16 projects studied and approved by the Chief of Engineers. Since WRDA 2020 was signed into law, it authorizes 72 new Corps of Engineer feasibility studies, directs the Corps to expedite the completion of 15 ongoing studies, all of which were submitted to the Corps by local sponsors willing to share in these project studies. WRDA 2022 authorizes critical navigation projects and studies at places like Coos Bay, Oregon, Long Beach, California, Houston, Texas, Norfolk, Virginia. It'll meet the needs of our ports, ensure we head off future supply chain challenges before they develop. Additionally, the bill authorizes the Corps to undertake a study, make recommendations on the nation's dredging capacity, so we can ensure the Corps is able to take full advantage of investments unlocked by WRDA. Years ago, we had more federal dredges due to political influence. Many were retired, some were mothballed, and at the time, a study was done and showed the only people that came out ahead when we do away with federal dredges are the private dredgers. Navigation, taxpayers, everything else suffers. So it's time to study this issue and see how we're going to meet the future needs. Making WRDA work is essential to communities throughout the country. Since 80% of traded goods Americans rely on and move through our nation's ports, harbors, inland waterways, our economy, our safety, our environment, better from the passage of WRDA 2020 with overburdened ports, threats from climate change, and the need to support our communities. Time to act is now. I'm proud of our work on this bill, and I urge my colleagues to join me in support of this important legislation. And I now recognize the ranking member, Mr. Graves.
Thank you, Chairman DeFazio, and I want to note